Resume review for Kenrick Nelson. So today, this is one of the cleanest resumes and CVs I've ever seen, which is great. Which is a great start. What I would remove the references available upon request. It's something that people put, but you don't need to include it. When you make it through past interviews and the company is considering an offer, they will ask you to provide references if need be. So there's no need to include it. Key skills section. I do have some concerns around the key skills mentioned. So anything that is not a industry skill, I would remove. So time management, problem solving, I would remove those. That's got nothing to do with they're not industry skills. So there's no need to include that. These are things that every single employer would want every single candidate to have. And so it doesn't help differentiate you in any way. I would also say the same thing for this Microsoft Office proficiency. It's another whilst it is a technical skill, it's a technical skill that everybody mentions and has now since lost its meaning. So the expectation is that everybody knows how to use a computer. So there's no need to include that either. When you mention compliance standards, this is also a bit generic, as your key skills should focus on specific compliance standards. For example, is it GDPR, etc. Then we go into framework development, relationship management, also quite generic. Whereas if you are a customer service individual, you would be looking at things such as improving NPS and retaining customers, customer retention, which I would believe to be more of an industry skill for your industry, for the nature of work that you do. Whilst your education is most recent in that you've just about completed your master's, I would still put your work experience before your education, because you have had 3 roles, and I think this is more than enough experience for you to be able to start getting gainful full-time employment. So the education section, while still valuable, it should be secondary, and the work experience should come first. I don't have many complaints about your work experience section. The only thing that I can say is that it is a little bit generic. So audited transactions and keyed invoices in QuickBooks to ensure books are balanced. I'm curious, how many transactions did you audit? And what was the total value of the invoices over the time that you spent there? I think that's a lot more. That gives a lot more credibility to the fact that you can audit transactions compared to someone who just says it. So include the actual number and make sure you bold them too. This bullet point's a bit lengthy. It doesn't really tell me how important a team player you are or how impactful you can be to the organization. So I would rework that to include something a little bit more concrete, something more data driven, rather than just administrative support, because that's quite basic. And that's pretty much it. When I look at the summary section, let's see here, you don't need to include this because it's just waffle. Proven track record of improving risk mitigation strategies across operations. I think this is good, but it would be good if you could include 1 or 2 career highlights here. That shows that track record proof. So you could reduce this to about two or 3 lines that focus on the track record that you do have and what percentage improvements or reduction in risk you've been able to create over your time, and also what type of role you're looking for. Okay, you do have the due diligence analyst as the role that you're looking for. Well, at least this is how you title yourself. So just be wary about what role you decide to put here. So is this kind of role that you're going for, the kind of role that you have now? If it's the role that you're going for, then sure, this is fine. And I think the rest is fine. There's nothing there's nothing else more to add here. As it stands, this puts you in good standing. It puts you on par with other candidates. It doesn't make you better than other candidates, but at least now you're not below the baseline. And so now the next step for you, once you've made those changes, is to think about ways that you can show how you are uniquely positioned to work at an employer or to work for a particular employer. In other words, what can you do for them? When you're building your resume, think about it from the angle of what can you do for this organization that other candidates can't do, and use that as your wedge to write your experience section. But all in all, I think it's really lightly designed, and it's very clear. There is consistency between the months and the years and the dates. There's no gaps, which is great to see as well. So a lot of the basics you actually do have, and it all fits on one page as well, which is pretty neat and tidy. So well done.